Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first founder interview of 2023. And I'm really excited to have the founders of PremedGo here, George Nimfour and Robert Wong. Welcome to the show, guys. How are you doing?
Very good. Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. And yeah, thank you. We're quite privileged to be the first founders of 2023. Excited.
Right on. So tell me a little bit about the latest news from PremedGo.
So, PremedGo, we are currently very excited to prepare our launch of the apps next week. And then we have been preparing this for quite a long time, like over half a year or even longer. So, 1 week before we launch.
It's exciting times.
Fantastic. And I think I speak for the whole team here at Paralect that we're really excited to work on an app that makes people healthier, makes people live longer. It's really a great opportunity for us. So where did your inspiration for PremedGo come from?
So the main inspiration came through personal experience. So back in 2020, I started my postgrad in financial strategy at Oxford University, and I had to do like a dissertation, and I was sort of struggling to get a topic, but coincidentally, I visited my mom in Croydon, in London, and when I visited my mom, as we were having a conversation, she sort of started going dizzy and off. We called an ambulance, and when the ambulance came, they checked her pulse, did a lot of stuff, and couldn't really get to the bottom of it. They took her into A&E. They had to run some few tests. Then they took her to a specialist unit to run further tests. And those further tests actually showed that she had like diabetes, which she thought she didn't have. She had other concerning health-related diseases that she needed to pay close attention to, including a liver disease and stuff like that. So although it was bad news, it was quite good because we were able to know that these were sort of the issues she is dealing with without knowing. So what that led on to was, okay, great. I started thinking, okay, what is the problem here? And how many people are like my mom thinking they're all good and one day they'll be there and something like that will happen to them. So I fed it on into a research. I looked at the problem and the possible solution, and then decided to write it. I spoke to my supervisor to see if I can turn it into a business plan and sort of write it as at the stage. Then he was like, okay, let's do this. So did it, and fast forward, applied into Cambridge from Oxford, then met Robert, discussed the business plan idea with Robert. Robert came from a healthcare background, and that was where we collaborated and the magic started happening.
Awesome. So you guys met at Cambridge. Robert, do you want to add anything more about how you did?
I'd like to add a little bit quite interesting point because the time that I came from Hong Kong all the way. Before I moved from Hong Kong to London and studied in Cambridge, I worked on the healthcare and NGO for like 10 years, mainly focusing on the healthcare and also the care work for the elderly home. So somehow it's about software side, but we all use the grant, the government grant or the foundation grant. It's kind of like a charity type, but I never try to use a business model to solve the social problem. So somehow when George talked to me, whoa, it's really because it's a business way of solving a healthcare problem. If every one of us care more about our health and use it regularly, like a health checkup, we care more about our diet, the food that we eat, do more exercise. Definitely, you don't need to wait for the government or charity fund to fund your checkup. Instead, you do it yourself. It's much more proactive way. So that's why I would join with George And then I got that experience, like 10 years on different type of software and build up. So somehow I'm looking on the operation side, which can benefit to the whole development as well.
Interesting. Yeah, it seems like healthcare is definitely a multifaceted problem. There are a lot of ways to improve how we live and how healthy we are. But just sticking with your founder's stories a little bit, have you always wanted to launch your own startup? Has that idea been kicking around in your mind for a long time? Or was there a certain turning point, say, when you discovered this idea, connected with each other, that you said, I'm ready to do this as a founder and go all in?
So personally, for me, I've always loved to be an entrepreneur, but not in a sense of definition. By entrepreneur looks something really grand and great, but I've always liked doing things for myself, buying and selling, and I've tried loads of businesses. So it's not like I've been a successful entrepreneur. Like if you interview others, I think I've failed almost on all the other startups I tried doing when I was in university, before university, in college, after university. But I think now what the greatest thing I have is the experiences I've gained from failing, and also the exposure and the education from, especially the advanced education from Oxford, and now my MBA at Cambridge has actually shaped the way I look at the business models, and the way strategy works, instead of it being an action to a paper. Normally we think strategy is having a fancy document or paper following that, but education is telling us that it's more the action, the things you do are your strategy. So yeah, well, I think that's gonna help me, and that's the experience I have had so far.
So for me, I think I got like totally different career path in my first half of 20 years. So somehow I'm an architect by training. So somehow I work in architect field, and I work for government, build charity home, build elderly home, build different type of things. And after architect, I run into the operation, run elderly home. So somehow towards the end of the 20 years of my career, I found that then there's some limitation in government or charity, which always depends on the funding. And then whenever the charity or the grant or the government, they have to respond to the fund, somehow there should be some limitation, and always happen some innovation part with the blocked by the charity fund or limitation. It cannot test it to the limit. So somehow I think there's another way that we can solve the social problem using the business model, which is aggressive or even like a very promising business model, which can also solve the problem. So somehow, before I moved from Hong Kong to London to study in Cambridge, so somehow I thought to myself, definitely, I don't want to go back to that set up system. Instead, I want to build up something which could be challenging, could be a little bit more blurry, but with the aim to do a little bit more innovative and adventurous, or even a long-term impactful in business and social way.
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, we're going to get into the actual product itself in just a second, but first I want to explore, why do you guys think that right now is the right time to launch PremedGo, and what is your initial target market?
So if I look at the world, I think now is the time to leave. Looking at the cost of living crisis and everything, now is the right time for us to start living a healthy life and having more control of our life, our health, which is very important. If I look at the United Kingdom as a whole, where we live, what's happening is there's a lot of pressure on the NHS. And in my opinion as well, one of the ways of addressing such problems is when we have full control of our health, and preventative health is very key to solving pressures on the NHS, because what happens is people know about their health, they know what they need to take in, what they don't need to take in, what the kind of exercises they need to do, and the kind of exercise they don't need to do. But what happens is, so if I give you a good example, at the beginning of the year, we all come up with a New Year resolution. We are going to live a healthy life. I'm going to join the gym, sign up, blah, 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 blah. But before we do that, we don't even know what's going in our bodies, We just decide, I want to be slim, I want to do this, I want to be, I want to have a toned body, I want to have a healthy life and stuff like that. But the main thing why we think now is the time is, if we can create, our aim and vision is to create a healthy economy. And by creating a healthy economy is when everyone has control of their health. They know what's going on in their health. And that is why we think now is the right time to launch PremedGo.
Agree, and then everyone use because we are health app. So somehow everyone use the phone rather than other things. So somehow if we use the tech as a platform, the apps as a platform to connect people, to bring into a healthcare or health chat, so somehow they got used to it. And then through that, they got more motivation to do it themselves. It definitely is right time, definitely.
All right, so we got the when and why. So now let's get into what PremedGo really is. Can you give us the sort of elevator pitch for the app and the platform?
So the simple thing for PremedGo is an online marketplace using a mobile app to connect people and health check providers. So the aim is to make sure that we address cost, which is a problem for loads of people, and access, which is also a problem for a lot of people. So in simple terms, we are the first online health check app marketplace. So all we focus on is preventative health and health checkups.
All right. Can you speak to how you got to that decision to focus specifically on preventative healthcare versus other types of necessary healthcare?
Great. So what we notice is a lot of attention goes to treatments, but not diagnostics. And the main thing is that for treatment to be done accurately, someone needs to find out what is wrong with you. So we decided, and listen, why don't we concentrate on helping people know what's wrong with them instead of getting to a clinic to find out this is wrong with me, of detecting it late.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Let's see. From working and researching together on PremedGo with your team and with you guys, it looks to me like a combination of a SaaS platform for the healthcare providers and also a marketplace. So how do you sort of balance those two business models?
So in terms of the SaaS platform, is what we are trying to do is to create something that our providers, so we're not just creating a business, but we try creating something that will help providers in terms of managing their workload, as well as managing the flow, managing patient flow coming through. So I'll give you an example. In the NHS now, if you have to book a health check, you have to ring into a GP surgery. And when you ring a GP surgery, a receptionist will pick it up and look at appointment slots and give you an appointment slot and book it. If somebody doesn't turn up, the appointment slot is lost. The GP might be there, or they might be waiting. The person doesn't turn up, which is a problem. What we are trying to do is to create an infrastructure whereby the patient is able to book, the GP is able to see. So in real time, when you book, you're able to see the slots available, and the GP is also able to plan their schedule ahead. So that is what we are sort of creating. And to be honest, our platform is going to be free for both the user and the clinician. In terms of a marketplace, what we are trying to do is to make it very competitive, because from research we've done, the average price is around £500 to have a proper health check done. What we want to do is to bring a lot of providers on so that we can create a system where the price comes from 500 to as low as 150, which makes it very cost efficient and also make it cost attractive in a cost of living crisis. people will still be able to put their health first. So that is why we've come up with that complex model.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. Robert, did you have anything to add to the model?
I think in terms of the provider, we do see that maybe individual, like individual doctor or individual practice, they may change a little bit more on the available time if the schedule can be booked outside the office hour after 6 or even like weekend. So somehow it also gives a lot more available time to the market. At the same time, they can also gain the business. So somehow it's a win-win-win situation. And then the more they do and the more people come in, so it's kind of like win-win-win situation to everyone, every single stakeholders in using the apps.
Right on. So we've been sort of building out PremedGo for just over a month. It hasn't been very long, and we're already launching the MVP. So not a huge time frame here. What are the key features of the first version of the app, and how did you decide on them?
Well, I think the key features of the app is to have an appointment-based system, whereby when someone goes on the app, they book an appointment. In real time, the provider can see the appointment. That's the first key feature. The other feature is all the administration will be done on the application. So if you are a user, when you go to the hospital, it's going to take you, let's say, 5, 10, 15 minutes or whatever time it needs for the physical assessment to be done. That's what's going to take you. So it's not going to take longer for people to go into a clinic. As soon as you hit the clinic, you just go through. So that is how see the MVP. That's how easy we've created the MVP. Going forward, we're looking to add a lot of functions, including building in an AI, which will help with interpreting the results as well as help with some of the mechanism that needs to be dealt with.
And also one features is we use some questionnaire and also ask the customers for some questions and recommend based on our suggested and suggest them to go for what type of the medical checkup, like what type of is a basic one or level 1 or level 2, depends on how what they did and when they did the last checkup. So somehow it's give a recommendation initially to the customer to go for.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Can we dive a little bit into the situation right now in the healthcare market? We've already talked about this a little bit, but it seems like a really appropriate time for a solution like PremedGo to come out. And so tell us a little bit about that. And yeah.
So the reason is, everyone sort of put preventative health as the last thing, So if you look at in the UK, if you look at some of the big organizations that are able to provide medical insurance and medical packages, you get healthcare packages which has preventative health as an add-on, and at the end of it, maybe you get it. What we are trying to do is bring this into the market and say, preventative health is the package. It's not like an alternative, or you don't have to think about it, or is the least. We want to bring it to the front. This is the main thing. Before you get treatment, you need to prevent, or you need to check what is actually wrong with you. So this is how we're looking at things. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about your target audience then. How do they currently think about preventative health care? And is this a situation where you're really going to have to educate the end user that this is something they need? We need to sort of trigger this need in their lives.
So if we take the United Kingdom, we've got our NHS. So there's going to be a little bit of an education as well. But with the UK, we've got the NHS, and the way the NHS works is between the ages of 40 to 74, Once every 5 years, your GP will write you that come for health checkup. So there is an almost 1.5 million people participate in this. So there is a need, but it's you. This is when you'll be written to and you'll be invited for health checkup once every 5 years. Having said that, our target audience are normally small businesses that cannot really afford a full-fledged medical package, but they still want to offer something to staff. And the reason why we are concentrating more on businesses is, it is, as an employer, it is good to be part of an employee's health journey, not only providing their development, but also, their mental health, their health. And preventative health is one of the most important things an employer can do for an employee, because one, is going to reduce absence, is going to save the employer money. And what our application does, the brilliant thing of our application is you can book health checks out of hours. You can book it evenings based on availability, you see. And also, in terms of the timing, it's not going to take long. So people don't have to book like days off or annual leave to go for a health check. People can even do it during their break time, because as soon as you go on an app, you see the providers closer to you, and you can just do all the admin, then walk in. People take depends on what sort of treatment you're going for. So that is how we our target audience are supposed to look at it as. So it's something to make their lives easier. But our biggest audience we are looking at is small businesses.
In terms of the awareness, at the same time, we also try to reach out in the community through some social campaign, because as I shared before, to do preparation and prevention is much better than until the last moment. So somehow we like to promote this preventive healthcare. It's very, very important to every single customers, no matter you're coming from community, you're coming from school or from small company. That awareness program is, as a whole, as a social campaign from our PremedGo point of view.
How do you define success sort of 3 to 6 months after launch? What do you say PremedGo looks like in July if all goes according to plan?
So our biggest vision is that in the next 5 years, we want to affect over 1 billion lives on a cumulative basis. So in the next 6 months for PremedGo, we want to affect over 5,000 lives within our target area. So we're doing a soft launch in London, and we are looking to affect over 5,000 lives within the next 6 months. Yeah.
And also, at the same time, we are looking also to explore different a market as well. If the London market is going well, probably we'll step into another market to bring that concept to test another market and grow it gradually at the same time.
And as Robert also said, so we are currently in LA, and we actively researching how we position in the US market, because the US market is quite different with different mechanisms of payment and how insurances work and things like that. So we also actively looking at that. So success will be having a soft launch in LA within the next 6 months as well.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds really exciting, and I wish you the best of luck. I know that regional regulations of healthcare products just is a big challenge to overcome. A lot of things to get right there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how you guys connected with us at Paralect Venture Studio. From what I understand, you met with Victoria from our team at Web Summit in Lisbon. How did that happen? There are like 70,000 people at Web Summit. How did you guys find each other?
I think with Web Summit, you have these introductions, and I think Victoria did reach out and did speak more about Paralect. And at the time, we're also looking at what is the next step for us. Can we launch? When can we launch? We need an organization or a studio that can really support us, not only on the technical front, but actually on the business front, on the communications, and all these other stuff. You've been amazing at helping us with. So fast forward, Victoria came to our stand, and we had more chat. And I think what did it for us is we spoke about the concept of Victoria, and she came with I think Figma or whatever you guys call it. She came with some designs, and it was quite astonishing because we just gave her an overview of what we thought, and for her to be able to move it from just words or ideas onto a sort of a visual effect, was really great. And then we were like, okay, let's give it a go, because if you can do this in a day, then only God knows what you guys can achieve when we work together.
And then I would like to add one more point, that the whole team of PowerNet, not only Victoria, they're all very energetic and very young and professional, and quite passionate about using a tech solution to solve problems. So somehow in the Web Summit, a lot of different tech company reach out to us and then ask for talk or follow up. And I do find Parallels, the whole team, they have a more proactive approach and try to step onto our shoes, because we are startup. We're not that huge like large corporate with a lot of resources. We have our limitation, but we have our vision. So somehow we join together to bring that vision step by step to make it true. I think there's another way that I find Powerless quite in a sense, it's quite understanding the our need or client's need. This is very, very important. That's how we bring the PremedGo. We want to understand the user's need and try to bring a solution to match them. At the same time, to bring business and help the customers as well.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Among a lot of the startup advice out there, one common thing that I've read and seen and heard is that you should, as a founder, bring a technical co-founder into your team to build in-house. You can move a little bit faster. There are all sorts of reasons for that. So I just want to ask you guys, what has your experience with agencies been like, including the last month or so with Paralect?
So we had that as well, but what we did the opposite. We did the opposite. So our model was actually, let's do our research, build the business. The technical is technical. There's nothing we can do about it. Then after that, look for a technical expert. Once our ideas are together, and it's taken us a while before we did that. So what we did was we built a business, had a lot of argument and disagreement. This is how we position it. You do this, George does this, Robert is great at that, and stuff like that. Then we said, okay, now we need a technical founder, and that has been our journey. That is why we then decided to stick with Paralex, because we don't want the whole thing. Although it's a tech business, but it's a business. It's a tech and a business. But I think the advice we got is true, but we don't want to make it just a tech. We just want to make it a tech and a business, something that we take our user feedback, builds our business, not something that is being built by a group of technical guys who think these functions are good and stuff like that. So that has been our experience, yeah.
And then also I would like to add, whether it's a technical founder or an agency or partners work together, it really depends on the passion and the responsiveness. Because it seems that the most important is how we can make use of the limited resources, no matter it's time and money, and build a people-oriented, a user-oriented solution in a quick way to launch it and have more investors to come in to build like a MVP, from MVP 1.0, 2.0, and then further develop and make it a full product. Every single thing should be based on the passion and pace as well, to me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess I'd like to get your thoughts on working with a remote distributed team. Do you have any tips or things that you've learned to sort of make the workflow more smooth?
One thing I've learned is maybe be on time for meetings anyway, which I'm aware of that anyway. Because every time Robert is chasing, where are you? Where are you? And also planning it. It's very interesting because sometimes I'll be in a car, or I'm speaking with a provider, I'm speaking with a small business owner, or I'm in a shop trying to grab some lunch. So I think for me, I think it's doable, and it's better anyway, because they are able to work at their own pace, but also they are able to align. And my experience is only with Prolec, because that's the only health tech I've done at PremedGo. So from Prolec, I think the way it works for us is because the teams understand our vision, they are passionate about it. They've sort of they sort of decided that this is the journey these guys are going. We will go to the journey with, and every KPI. So what we normally do, we set KPI, and every KPI these guys we working with in Prolec try to achieve it even before. The biggest thing, and I think the biggest advice we got from Robert was like, before the meetings, can you deliver and have and deliver on time, so that we can look at it before we come into the meetings, so we don't discuss things at the meetings. And that has been also very useful.
And I like to really appreciate the whole team, not only about the tasks that top in the last week, but while the whole product develops, somehow based on the whole technical team's professional experience. I did remember some of the suggestions totally out of our expectations. Say, for example, the online form. We originally asked, we thought that how we could connect with the provider for them to fill it all the information. In our mind, we are preparing that. But suddenly in the next meeting, the team, Alex, suddenly come to us, we have prepared a draft with an online, we form sheet as a sample. So definitely that is a very, very proactive approach, because we are working together. And somehow Alex and Victoria seems to be part of our team thinking of similar things. So that we do appreciate very much about the attitude and professional manner on treating not only this as a product or as a consultant or as a product development. Instead, it's working as a really, really trustable and good partners.
Well, that's amazing to hear, and I look forward to continuing to work with you guys and bringing PremedGo to more people. So you've both mentioned now the healthcare providers. Obviously, it's important to get them on board to make PremedGo a success. So what kind of feedback have you got from them so far? George, you mentioned you've been talking with them a lot. Can you share some of their feedback?
The concept is something they like and they love. Because for the smaller health check providers, what happens is it's quite difficult for them to plan, because the flow of traffic, they can't control the flow of traffic. So planning a clinic is quite difficult. You get someone booked today, 3 people tomorrow, and they also have, it's the same pool of clinicians we have in the UK. So it's not like they generating new clinicians. So to get a clinician to come in, and you're not able to fill their slot, it's going to be very expensive for the providers, and also the clinicians don't really enjoy that pay. So PremedGo is going to really help facilitate that in the health check-up market, get a slot, get the traffic flowing to all the smaller providers. And also one thing that they also like is they know that the cost of providing this service is expensive, but it's mainly due to the fact that they don't have a flow of traffic coming through. They can't control the revenue. But if PremedGo starts, when we go live, what will happen is we're able to help them control their revenue, control the flow of traffic coming through. They will be able to start looking at a cost reduction to suit demand. So it's quite very good feedback. And in terms of the application, what they are waiting to do is they want to build something that will be really good for them as well as the patients over the next couple of weeks.
All right. And can you speak a little bit to how different PremedGo is from what these providers are using as a patient management system right now?
So what PremedGo, the difference is PremedGo is going to be a web-based platform, and also is very easy and basic. So you don't need a lot of training on the app. Is very user friendly, and the future functionalities, which even makes it brilliant, is when somebody books and it goes on the main platform, where the main web app, there's going to be a connectivity, and this is the future thing that's coming. So a doctor will know the appointment they have in the clinic. So when you book, it goes onto the main web app, then it goes onto the doctor's application as well. So the doctor is able to control it, the practice manager is able to control it, and it actually reduces the admin burden of the need of having, let's say, a receptionist or an administrator to sort of monitor and manage these things. So that is something that it's not there at the moment.
I think if more provider and then they sign it to us, somehow part of the logistic or the logistic in terms of the GP or checking health check logistic may be streamlined, and in long run will be shorten the whole procedures in long run through the application of the apps, the version 1, version 2, or even longer. Then definitely the whole thing will benefit to their business, because the shorter the time they can finish the health check, the more more profit they could earn by fitting in more customers.
That makes a lot of sense. All right. You've also been talking with investors as well. Have you got any feedback from them that you'd like to share at this time?
So yeah, so we've spoken. So we've got two VCs that are currently waiting for us to do a soft launch. So our investors actually told us to do a soft launch for reasons I don't understand. I don't understand the investor language a lot. So they want a soft launch so that they can see and join the journey after the soft launch. So after our soft launch this month, we are looking forward to be working with potential investors to scale, because what we want to do is to scale and scale really quickly, because we have a big vision of affecting over 1 billion lives in the next 5 years. So it can only be done with speed and also by scaling.
All right. Obviously, fundraising has gotten a little bit harder this year and the past year than maybe it was in 2021 or 2020. Has the current situation sort of shifted your approach or your goals in raising those funds?
No, so we are quite consistent to what we are doing, and we are persevering. To be honest, it's very difficult looking at things, but our goals are our goals. As I said, our biggest thing for us is to be able to scale and in 5 years get to this billion lives being affected. We've been able to raise close to $200,000 US dollars, and we are still raising. Our target at the end of the year is to raise $1 million to help us grow. So no, we are still on that journey, and we are calling on any form of investor to sort of help us, but mainly investors who are passionate about preventative health or health care research and innovation.
All right. And are there any other challenges that you see sort of in the near term for PremedGo, and maybe how are you sort of mitigating them?
No, I think the biggest challenge is that I see is Robert being able to cope with me. So you can see Robert is starting the office every time I get to the office, my God, he's thinking, can someone get this guy out of here? Because he's not that organized at all. I can't organize all the operations of PremedGo and organize this guy as well. So on a more serious note, what we foresee, the challenges we foresee is having providers on board and providers sticking to their price. Our aim is that providers come on board and reduce their price so that we can increase the demand. You see, so that is one of the challenges we foresee from my point of view.
So I'd like to add a few more challenges in coming 1 or 2 or 3 weeks. Because as you talk about investment, we are also reaching out the government funding as well. Because we currently find that Innovate UK, they have a small grant for small enterprise using their technology to solve the social problem. So somehow, in 2 weeks' time, there will be the deadline for the Innovate UK. Definitely, I do see that the PremedGo solution definitely help on releasing some of the NHS like congestion and also prevent the medical expenses huge increase in coming years. So I think that definitely with another that is another type of funding because they have a long essay on the submission. So like around 5,000 word and also some images as well. Another thing is a trial run before the real launch because we do want to make sure every single step of the operation, no matter in the booking, the online, and also even the payment and even the questionnaire, every single step must be all smooth before we go to the huge amount of people signing up. So somehow these 2 weeks, operation, funding application in government form, and at the same time to make sure everyone know that we are launching. So somehow it's all come together. We hope that we can do our very, very best.
For sure. And I don't want to keep you too much longer from those huge tasks that you have to do. So just one more question for you guys. Can you just sum up why are you so passionate about launching PremedGo to the market?
So reason why we are passionate is looking even at the current healthcare pressures on the NHS. We feel strongly that if a lot of people can have access to preventative health, or a lot of people can pay for affordable health checks, and a lot of health checks are being run, it's going to reduce, it's not going to solve the problem or stop things happening, but it's going to reduce a lot of it, and it's going to reduce a lot of concern. So it's not only the pressures on NHS. Look at the patient point of view. People are concerned, people are even worried. If something happens to me, what am I going to do? So that anxiety, it's also something that needs to be addressed, and only can be addressed when you have control of it. It's like driving a car, like when you have control and not saying control by steering or controlling the car, but actually when you have control by knowing that I have fuel or I have electric charged and it can take me to 10 miles and I have the fuel or the energy for that miles, you're okay. But if you don't know, you hop into somebody's car, you don't know, or you can't see where you're going, you don't know what they've got enough for, it's quite concerning and you're quite unsure. So we hope to be able to do the launch, and that makes us very passionate. There's like an adrenaline. We want to get it out there like yesterday, although we have to get all the operations done.
I think the most important thing is I do believe prevention is much better than the remedial. So somehow, the more we care of the prevention, do some preparation, not wait until towards the end. So somehow everyone do it.
Okay.
We can relieve every single expenses for the medical care.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. We will have links to your website in the show notes for this episode. Everybody, if you're in the UK and you're interested in learning more about PremedGo, check out premedgo.com. Follow the guys on Twitter, LinkedIn. They're very active and sharing their story there. So thank you so much and good luck with the launch.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Bye.